Heading into 2026, crypto markets are seeing greater overlap with traditional finance as Wall Street firms increase their use of blockchain. Now, Ethereum remains one of the largest blockchains and handles a significant share of stablecoin and DeFi transactions. Now, potential congressional legislation on stablecoins could influence market activity, while the Trump administration has highlighted digital assets, including ETH, in discussions on U.S. blockchain strategy. Well, joining me as we head into year-end is Vivek Raman, CEO and co-founder of Etherealize. Well, Vivek, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me, Remy. It's good to be here.
Well, 2025 has been quite the year, but we're already looking ahead to 2026. So what do you make of what we have seen for ETH, the token, as well as the technology?
I think we had a breakout year for both ETH, the token, and the technology, and the seeds are planted for, honestly, a phenomenal 2026. So on the blockchain part, we saw widespread institutional blockchain. Ethereum has now cemented itself as the most widely used institutional blockchain. We saw the stablecoin bill pass, which means that now banks and asset managers and fintechs are all building their own stablecoins. 60% of all stablecoins are on Ethereum and its layer 2 networks. We saw tokenization start to really hit an inflection point. And every single week we see more and more activity. Just yesterday, we saw JP Morgan tokenize a money market fund on Ethereum itself. This week, we saw DTCC start to tokenize stocks and doing pilots on Ethereum. And then the last month, we've seen players like Fidelity tokenize money market funds too. So tokenization is going to be another huge theme. And then lastly, we're seeing players like Robinhood build their own layer 2 blockchains on Ethereum to tokenize stocks and to bring their users on chain. I think the seeds are planted for just an unbelievable fundamental wave of adoption next year.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you highlighted some of the headlines that we've seen pouring through when it comes to Ethereum. So what are you expecting in terms of innovation heading into 2026? And what are the implications, not just for the institutional side, but for viewers who are watching and our retail investors?
I think we're going to see Ethereum become more and more the invisible backbone behind all of finance. So everyone is going to, in the end, be using Ethereum and not even know they're using it. Just like we all use the internet, we don't think twice about it. So even for retail users, when they go onto Robinhood, we might see stocks settle on traditional rails, or we might see stocks settle on their new Robinhood L2 blockchain built on Ethereum. They're not going to know the difference, but they're going to have faster, cheaper transactions, 24/7 access. So the retail experience gets unlocked. On the institutional side, we're at the tip of the iceberg. Everything so far, from stablecoins to money market funds, have been proof of concepts, and they're dipping their toes in. But I think next year they're going to jump fully headfirst into the pool and then see what tokenization can unlock.
Yeah, and I also want to get your take on artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to agentic AI and payments. What's going on there, and what are your expectations?
I think the ironic part is the biggest users of secure blockchains like Ethereum are probably going to be AI agents. That's because AI agents don't have bank accounts. They can't go and open a Bank of America or Chase account. They need money that operates on the internet, and that's what blockchains give us. So you ask a lot of different AI agents, I've done this, which blockchain ecosystem do they use the most for payments, and it's Ethereum and it's layer 2s. And so we're seeing that happen on layer 2s like Base. A lot of the payments are being done by agentic AI, and that's going to unlock a whole other use case for programmatic payments.
And finally, before I let you go, when it comes to catalysts that you're paying attention to, not just in the near term, but also medium term and long term, what are they?
So I think we need more regulatory clarity, and so we got the Genius bill, and that unlocked stablecoins to a big degree. And now institutions can use stablecoins on permissionless public blockchains. With the Clarity Act next year, we should have even more innovation possible, and that'll unlock the next wave of adoption. I think at the end, it's going to flow back to ETH, the token. This year, we saw players like Tom Lee buy up to 5% of the ETH supply, and they're just all getting started. So I think all this fundamental adoption is going to lead to ETH having a breakout year in 2026. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, and this is the time of year that we hear about price targets. I won't ask you about your price target for ETH, but when it comes to the long term for the token ETH, what are your expectations and why?
I think ETH is already establishing itself as a store of value alongside Bitcoin. You're seeing that MicroStrategy sort of paved the way for Bitcoin. Now you have players like Tom Lee and Joe Lubin and Andrew Keys with their treasury vehicles that are institutional vehicles that people are starting to use for ETH exposure. So the conversation is now Bitcoin and ETH, and I think ETH is going to reprice to become a store value asset, and that means this market cap goes close to Bitcoin, and that I think we start to see next year in earnest.
Okay, Vivek, we will have to leave it there, but great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me. We look forward to speaking to you again in the new year.
Thanks so much. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.